Well, good evening. It is time for tea with Teresa. So here I am, and hopefully you are noticing that things are starting and you're getting online. And I have my cup of tea here. And it is actually tea this evening. I'm not going to promise that if I do this again or fairly consistently that I'm always going to have tea, but it is legitimately tea today. And if you watched my healthy tips on how to stay healthy or try to avoid getting sick, or how to fend off if you're feeling like you're starting to get sick, it posted, I think, last week. I talked about lemon ginger tea, and that's actually what I am drinking tonight. So, good evening. I hope you had a great Monday. I know there's always a little bit of a delay when Facebook Live starts. So, when you get in and when you start watching, I can see all the comments on the right, and I think I'll also see if you like or share something. So, anyway, as you join in with your cup, you could tell me maybe what you have in your cup, or if you can hear well, that type of thing. So feel free to pop in the comments and tell me your thoughts. So the topic I was going to talk about this evening is a little bit maybe odd, but I wanted to make a comparison for you of what yoga is kind of like. So a lot of times I have people who, when they find out that I teach yoga, they wonder a lot, or they say, "Oh, I've heard that I should yoga," or "I heard that yoga is good, but I don't really know." And trying to kind of explain to them what I like about yoga or why I think it's great. And it's always sometimes hard to do that. And so I was driving the other day down to Moberly, and I had this idea come to mind, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if I was hungry or if I heard a commercial, maybe. I'm not sure. But all of a sudden, I started thinking about barbecue. And I grew up in the Midwest, and so barbecue is a big deal. My daughter loves barbecue and pulled pork sandwiches. And I got to thinking about the comparison of yoga to barbecue. And this may sound funny, but I think it works. So hang with me and comment if you disagree or you agree, or if you can think of additional ways that maybe this analogy would work. So one, like I said, I grew up in the Midwest. My dad's a great barbecuer. My daughter loves barbecue. My whole family likes barbecue. And so we really anticipate when we're going to get to have barbecue. Like, we think about it in advance, like, oh, tonight we're going to have this or whatever. And I feel very similar about yoga myself, that I feel like when you really start practicing yoga and really start getting more comfortable and familiar with your practice, it starts to become something that when you know you're going to get to go to yoga, that you look forward to, and that it becomes something that you're anticipating and that you're looking forward to that night or that next morning, whenever I get to go in yoga. And I think this is different from a lot of the previous exercise programs or styles that I've done in the past, where I didn't anticipate going. I knew I'd be kind of at least sort of glad that I went and took care of myself physically, but I didn't really anticipate it or look forward to that exercise and that practice. It was something I just felt like I had to do. And yoga for me is very different, and is something that I really is a treat. And yes, I'm getting the physical challenge, and I'm working on flexibility and strength and all of that, but it's also something that I'm really excited to get to do. And so I look forward to it all day. And so that is sort of number one of why I think yoga and barbecue are a good comparison or analogy. The second one is the idea of good barbecue takes a lot of time. It doesn't happen, well, I guess it could literally happen overnight, but it's not something that is going to be quick. You can't try to rush the barbecue process. You've got to let it cook slow and low, right? And yoga is sort of that way too. Again, in comparison to a lot of exercise programs where when they want you to join, they talk about, you'll instantly lose weight, or you'll instantly this, or the results will be just automatic or in no time. And that's just not the case usually with any of them. But with yoga, I don't ever make those promises. It might feel great, hopefully, at the end of a practice, but I'm never going to suggest to people that they're going to lose 30 pounds in a month just for starting yoga. Some people might lose weight, some people might not. Some people will feel stronger, some people might not. But yoga is the slow and low, right? So if you come to a vinyasa class of mine, or you take one that's online, it's going to take some time for you to maybe really feel significant improvements. If you've watched my origin story or my video or read my blog post about it, you know that when I started, yoga was very difficult for me, and it did not change overnight. It took a long time, longer than I wanted it to, but I got there, and I'm stronger now by far than I was before the accident that led me eventually to yoga. But it was a long process, and it was a slow process. And so I always want people to know that it's not necessarily going to be this one and done, or this quick snap your fingers and you can do all sorts of great things. Number 3, the third way that I thought yoga and barbecue compare is the idea of when it's really good. When barbecue's really good, they'll talk about that you don't need anything special. You don't need sauce. You don't need something to put on top of it to make it look fancy. The barbecue itself is what's really good. And so I think yoga can be compared to this because and I love all the props. I love getting new yoga clothes and all of that stuff. But good yoga, you don't need anything on top. It doesn't matter what you wear to yoga. It doesn't matter if you bring an expensive mat or you borrow a mat at the studio. It doesn't matter if you have the fanciest whatever. That it's the work you do on the mat that makes it good yoga. It's that slow process. It's that physical and mental benefit of the practice. That's why we keep coming back. That's why yoga is so good. And when you've had a really good practice and you get up from yoga and you feel great or whatever, that's the good of practice. It wasn't good because of the extra special stuff you were wearing or that you brought. It doesn't need any fancy sauce. It's the barbecue. It's the yoga practice itself that's so good. Number 4. So barbecue, right? There's all sorts of styles of barbecue, and everybody likes their specific style. I'm not even going to venture there and bring up any because I don't want to start a fight. This is yoga, right? But there's a lot of different ways to do barbecue. There's a lot of different styles. There's a lot of different rules, right, to follow. And yoga is no different in that way, right? There's a lot of different styles of yoga. There's a lot of different styles of yoga teachers. And they're all potentially, as long as they're safe practices, I do always recommend that you go to someone that has good qualifications, quality training, and that's not always required in certain states or gyms. So don't assume just because someone's teaching yoga, they have those credentials. You always want to double check. Those who practice with me, I'm an ERYT through Yoga Alliance, which stands for Experienced Registered Yoga Teacher. So it means I've taught over 1,000 hours of yoga, and that I have done enough education and continuing education to be with Yoga Alliance. But that aside, I always recommend that. But there's lots of different styles. In town at the studio, I teach yoga sculpt on Monday nights. I did that a little while ago. And on Wednesdays, I teach vinyasa. I do parent baby. I do restorative. I do kid yoga. I run the gamut, right, of styles of yoga that I offer. Most all of mine are rooted in vinyasa or hatha yoga. There's also other styles, right? So you might want to try out different styles and figure out which one really speaks to you. Which one do you crave? Which one do you anticipate going to? Which one do you like the best? And then go with that, right? That there's nothing wrong with that style if that's the kind that you really like. But I think it's important to know there are different styles out there, right? So if you didn't love the first class that you ever took, try a different one. Try a different style, try a different instructor, all of that, right? Maybe you just didn't find your cup of tea yet, right? And last, I have one more. Number 5 is when you're done. So you eat your barbecue and you sit there and you sit back and you go, oh, that was really good. Oh, that hit the spot. Yoga, when it's the style that speaks to you, when it's slow and low, when it doesn't need any sauce, right? When you sit up and you're done, you have that yoga high, right? Where you're like, oh, I feel so much better, right? It's that satisfaction. It's feeling good when you're done. And I think a lot of times when you have a really great meal, even if it's not barbecue, let's say you don't like barbecue, that's fine. I won't hold that against you. But whatever it is that you crave and you really enjoy eating, when you go, oh, that was really good. Yoga feels the same way when you're done. That, again, it's different from a lot of exercises that I used to do where I felt like they were a punishment. I needed to go run because I ate whatever. I ate all that barbecue, right? I need to go to that class because I haven't been to the gym in a while or whatever. I don't feel that way about yoga. Like we said, number 1 was I anticipated it. Number 5 comes full circle. I'm satisfied. I feel rewarded, and I'm super glad that I went and that I had that class. So thank you so much for coming to Tea with Tea. I hope you enjoyed your cup and that you enjoyed my little analogy and just had a nice little wind down here on your day. And I don't know, we'll see. Maybe we'll do another one. All right. Well, have a good night.